Second lesson. So I want to show you the pitfalls on this thing. Now I tell my kids all the time, and you guys still do these things over and over and over and over. My year 11s just had a massive moment when they realized this at this very late stage of the year, what is going wrong when you don't square these things properly. I'm kind of hoping you're going to get this a little bit quicker than them. Anyway, let's hope. This is question 5 from our worksheet, and we already know the answer. So by completing the square, you would have got these two answers over here, and you would have got, if you basically work this out in terms of 3 significant figures, then I'm going to have 4 plus the square root of 16, square root of 6 equals, divided by 5 equals, and so the one answer is 1.29 to 3 significant figures, and the other answer is going to be 4 minus the square root of 6 over 5, and that's going to be 3.1, sorry, talking rubbish, 0.310. So those are your 2 answers to 3 significant figures. That's how the IG is going to expect you to give them. Then, when you have done that, you would also understand that this would be the same thing as if we factorize it as getting x minus 1.29 more or less times by x minus 0.31 more or less, right? And that's why you can't factorize it, because these numbers, they're surds, they carry on forever. You can't come up with those numbers in your head, right? But you understand that's what you're getting the answers. So now we're going to use the quadratic formula, and you're going to have to make sure you know it off by heart. So we're trying to find out those answers. So it's minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, and the whole thing is divided by 2a. If you fill something different in your calculator, it will do what you've told it to do, and you're going to get it wrong. Here, a is equal to 5. B is equal to negative 8, which is why I chose this one, and C is equal to 2. So remember, that's not the order of the terms. The constant term is C, the one that's just a number. Coefficient of x is B, and the coefficient of x squared is 5, right? Is A. So I've got x is equal to minus b. So this is minus 8. Now if you use brackets, you're never going to get this wrong. But if you decide that b suddenly miraculously turned into 8, then that's wrong. The biggest problem is not that one. People are usually okay with that. The biggest problem is bunches of people write it like this. I'm just going to carry on filling it in. 4 times a and times c, and at the bottom 2 times a. So if you do that, or even if you write the correct thing, but you do that on your calculator is going to go negative 8 squared, which means negative 8 times 8, which is negative 64. And you are going to get this wrong, okay? Because it's b squared. It's not just 8 squared. The whole of b is squared. So you need to have brackets here. You need to really have brackets there. Then you're going to have negative 8 times negative 8, which is positive 64. And now it will be right. So please use brackets. So this first one is 8. I've got plus or minus. I'm going to work out what's in the bracket and then write it down, and then I'll carry on from there. So I don't need to use the square root sign. I'm just going to say negative 8 squared minus 4 times 5 times 2, and I end up with 24. I'm expecting something that I can't square root easily, because otherwise, why would this even be an issue, right? Now, you can just use your calculator to work this out further. So you can just go and make this into 2 answers and say 8 plus square root of 24 over 10 as your one answer, and 8 minus square root of 24 over 10. It would be nice if you can also simplify these. I can basically factorize this and pull out the 2, and then I'm going to have 4 plus or minus, and I can square root the 4 that's underneath that 24 sign. So that's going to be, oh, well, let me just do it in 2 steps. That's going to be 4 times 6. Okay, let me just erase and do that again. So I can simplify this, and if you could do that, that would be really good. First of all, I'm going to square root as much of this as I can. So I've got 4 times 6 over 10. So this is the same as 8 plus or minus square root of 4 is 2, and the 6 is still sitting behind there, and now it's over 10, right? And now I can factorize and take that 2 out. So down here I can take out the 2, then I've got 4 plus or minus square root 6 over 10, right? 2 cancels into the 10, there's the 5, and now that answer is the same as that answer. So if you can manage to do that, that's really, really a good sign, but it's also not necessary, right? So you can just shove 8 plus square root 24. I just wanted to prove it was the same thing. And we can just shove 8 plus square root 24 over 10, and the answer is going to be equal to, it's going to be equal to 1.29. And we can do the same with a minus sign. Note that I don't have to go and clear the calculator screen. I can just use the arrow button, go back, and switch the plus sign for a minus sign. It's going to be much quicker. And I end up with 0.310. Of course I do, because those were the answers that we worked out the first time, right? So you need to be very careful with negative b values. For a start, negative b is going to be positive, right? And then negative 8 squared is 64, not negative 64. You're going to have to be very, very careful. I say this, and I say this, and I say this, and people ignore it. So I hope you will not be those people. We'll see.